Train 262 Heavy, wind calm, runway 31 left, clear for takeoff, caution wake turbulence, previous departure, Heavy 777.
Hello and welcome to Laughlin Air Force Base here in Del Rio, Texas. We are here with our U-2 Dragon Lady. Very unique aircraft. Why are we in Laughlin, Texas? Well, not Laughlin, Texas. Derp. Laughlin Air Force Base in Del Rio, Texas? Well, because the 4080th, the 4080 Strategic Reconnaissance Wing flew U-2 spy planes out of Laughlin Air Force Base. And those aircraft actually spotted the missiles in Cuba that started the Cuban Missile Crisis. How about that? Alright, let's talk about our U-2 spy plane. She was developed in the 1950s as a way to get better strategic reconnaissance. Prior to this aircraft, strategic reconnaissance was carried out by converted bombers that were vulnerable to anti-aircraft fire, missiles, and fighters. It was believed if you took the altitude above 70,000 feet, you were beyond the reach of fighters, missiles, and radar. In order to do that, this whole aircraft was designed for minimum airframe weight. This results in an extremely thin margin of air. Now these huge wings, high aspect ratio wings, give glider-like characteristics. In fact, engine-out glide is 23:1, which means it goes 23 feet forward for every foot drop. That is equivalent to the gliders of the 1950s. It was truly a glider. Alright, so let's, before I keep yapping about the airplane, let's, no virtual cockpit. Bonus. Cockpit. We're looking at the ceiling. Oh, that's going to be funny. Funny like funniness. Okay. I'm going to take it off. Brakes off. Alright. Now, this is an A model. The specs I have are for an S model. The S model U-2 throttles 1 General Electric F118 101 turbofan, producing 19,000 pounds of thrust. Go. Oh, do I have flaps? I do have flaps. Oh, no. We've lost our wing thingies. Our wheels on the end of our wings. Go. There she goes. Look at that. Just craziness. Alright, so we'll get in the cockpit here. Oh, look, our cockpit even has a GPS. Good, we have GPS. So we're gonna fly for the sky. We probably aren't going to go up to 70,000, but we're gonna go up on, and then I'm going to make a valiant attempt to land this monster. Now, we were talking about how this aircraft had a very thin margin of air. How thin are we talking? Well, in order to maintain the operational ceiling of 70,000 feet, the U-2A, which is the model I'm flying, and the U-2C had to fly extremely close to their never exceed speed. How close? Well, the margin between their never exceed speed and their stall speed at 70,000 feet was 10 knots. You literally had a window of 10 knots. That's about 12 miles an hour. Think about that. If you're driving your car, unless you're flying cruise control, you're talking about an extremely narrow window to keep your speed. On a and that speed area, that very narrow band, was known by pilots as the coffin corner. On a typical mission, the U-2 was flying over only 5 knots above stall speed. And if it stalled, it would cause a decrease in altitude likely to lead to detection and destruction. Going too fast would overstress the lightly built airframe, and then, well, you have other problems. You're falling out of the sky. Another problem for this aircraft Flight controls were designed around the normal mission envelope of 70,000 feet. Feather light control responses at operational altitude. Because you didn't have to do much at operational altitude. Wow, we're just going for broke, aren't we? You didn't have to do much at operational altitude. But at lower altitudes, the high air density and the lack of power-assisted control made the aircraft very difficult to fly. This didn't have hydraulic actuated control. This aircraft was all the old wire and pulley system. Can you imagine that? Big, expensive warbird flying super secret missions for the CIA and the Air Force. No hydraulics. It's just amazing. I'm going to throttle her down, and I'm going to try to find something that approximates an approach into Del Rio, Texas again. Because again, I'm not going to go all the way up to altitude. It would take us a long time to get there. Now, as the aircraft approaches the runway for landing, these big wings create a cushion of air. And it creates a ground effect. It means that in order for the aircraft to land, the wings have to be fully stalled. And because of the way the pilot sits, it actually requires chase aircraft and another U-2 pilot in that chase aircraft to talk down the U-2. Go. I think that's the airbase right there. That's what I'm going to presume that is. Yeah. A very nice looking aircraft. Wow, we're just kind of loping along, a little bit of decrease in altitude. That's not bad at all. Look at that. I really can fly a plane, sort of. The U-2 helped disprove the myth of a bomber gap between the United States and Soviet Russia. And it also provided the very first photographs of the Baikonur Cosmodrome, which the CIA didn't even know existed. We're going to go for landing here in a little bit. Now, this big, crazy aircraft, right? 1969, the Model R, so the U-2R. They were flown from aircraft carriers, specifically the USS America. Imagine this thing taking off from an aircraft carrier. I mean, they obviously couldn't have put it on the full cap system because it would have just ripped the wings right off, but yeah, they launched them and from aircraft carriers. Just craziness. They built a model that had extra fuel tanks and a refueling system to allow for 36-hour flight. They forgot to think about the pilot who had to sit for 36 hours in this aircraft. Needless to say, that didn't really work out very well. The max speed of this aircraft is only 500 miles an hour. So you still have long missions. Alright, where is that stinking runway? That runway is over there, okay. Alright, we're going to throttle down. We're going to try to come down out of 1,000 feet here. Alright, so Shift 1 gets us our controls here. Shift 2, COM, autopilot. Is that my throttle? That's my throttle. Gears. Okay. Shift 3, important GPS. In fact, that's going to go on the other screen because we all know I need that to find where I'm going. Shift 4 is the end of the boat. So basically we have main panel, left side, and GPS, which is pretty cool. Let's see the air brakes. Oh, look at that. Air brakes there. Now the pilots wore fully pressurized spacesuits, and in fact, early in the evolution, flying the U-2 would actually qualify as going into space. There's a great, I don't know where to get it in the U.S. legally. You can probably find it on places like Street Fire. There's a video where James May from Top Gear flew in a U-2 up to its max altitude, and it was a really interesting episode, really neat. If you can find it, it's probably something you can pick up on BBC iPlayer if you're in the UK. Those of us in the US, well, you just sort of have to wing it. Why are we all the way up at 6,000? Really? Wow. All right, let's go down. Brakes out. We're just gonna do a little bit of, diving. Why not? Brakes in. Okay. I'm gonna try to land this thing. This is gonna be probably one of the hardest things to land, honestly. So we're talking about something that I have to stall to land. And you guys know I can be really good at stalling aircraft, but I don't want that runway there. Okay. A little bit of power. Where are we at? 3,000 feet. Okay. Let's level her off right around here. 2,500. That should be fine. Okay. Target is... I have no idea where. Where are you? Oh, for bloody bucks. Where is it? There it is over there. Okay. Now the wheels on the wings, they would detach as the aircraft accelerated on takeoff, and then on landing, they would land on the bicycle landing gear, and then the aircraft would actually tip over onto its wingtips. The wingtips are made with a special metal, a titanium metal, to allow them to absorb the impact. And then troops would come out, the assistance troops, or the soldiers, the Air Force men would come out, and they'd literally pick the aircraft up and attach a wheel, and then pick the aircraft up and attach the other wheel. And that's how you landed. All right, I've got runways in sight.
Don't sink.
What do you mean don't sink?
Don't sink. Don't sink.
I'm sinking by,
Don't
what,
sink.
100 feet a minute, and you're going to complain to me about this?
Don't sink.
Really? Alright, so this is going to be probably the longest, slowest flight trying to make this landing. Okay, we're going to get a little bit of altitude, so maybe Don't Sink guy will shut up. Okay, throttle down a little bit. Don't need to be going 300 knots down here. Okay. In fact, let's slow that guy down real quick here. Go, lining up on runway-ish. Red is dead. Well, yes, I know. Okay. Go. So there we got some flap going on there. Big old flaps. Huge amount of wing space on this aircraft. Ooh, let's throttle up a little bit. Let's not stall it all the way out here. Wheels coming out. There we go. There's our bicycle landing gear. Oh man, this is going to be... Oh, why? I don't want to sink that much. There we go. Ooh, look, I got one properly colored light. All right. A little bit more. I'm going to do this, darn it. You can do this. We're in a giant glider, for goodness sakes. Okay, now I'm at proper glide slope. Or close to, maybe.
Don't sink.
Oh, stop it.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
mean, don't
sink.
sink. I'm going to
sink.
land the aircraft, you stupid
Don't sink.
man. He's such a jerk. Alright, here we go. I don't know what the
Don't
landing
sink.
speed is. I'm presuming it's more than
Don't sink.
112
Don't sink.
knots.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
What do you mean, don't sink? You tell me not to sink, but if I don't sink, I'm not going to make the runway. Ugh, jerk. See, this is the problem. I start listening to him, and to shut him up, I go too high, and then I'm too far above the runway. Okay. One of the difficult things about the U-2 is very few
Don't
of them
sink.
were built with
Don't sink.
two-seat versions.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
I mean, don't sink.
Don't sink.
I want to sink. I'm trying to land the aircraft.
Don't sink.
Fuel flow is low. Let's get some fuel in the engine. Here we go. Go. I hope. Maybe. Oh look, magically my wheels came out. Since Flight Simulator doesn't allow for the wingtips to go down. Here we go. I don't believe there's any reverse thrust. There is not. There we go. There's our U-2 spy plane. I want to be careful hitting the brakes. I'm afraid I'm going to nose over. There we go. Shut her down. Open the cockpit. Look at that. So there we go. There's our U-2 spy plane, the Dragon Lady. Go up to 70,000 feet, hang out up at 70,000 feet with the stars and the curvature of the Earth. It feels really light to handle. I'd love a virtual cockpit, but this is the one I could find, and it was not an easy one to find. The link is down below, as always. I hope you enjoy the U-2 Dragon Lady. It's a neat aircraft. It's definitely going to hang out in my hangar. Until next time, it's been DerTebbers with your Flight Simulator X Plane Spotlight.